going to classify polymer on the basis of what? On the basis of chemical nature. So you know that polymer may be organic and polymer may be inorganic. Clear? So it mainly depends upon the backbone of the polymer. Clear? So you know that there are so many types of organic compounds that have carbon, but actually they are non-polar. Clear? So here there will be some such polymer which will have carbon atoms in their peripheral skeleton, not in their main skeleton, but they will be inorganic in nature. So we are going to discuss organic and inorganic polymer. So on the base of chemical nature, polymer may be organic and polymer may be inorganic. Clear? So first of all, I want to discuss organic polymer, are those polymer which are actually organic in nature, are those polymer which have carbon bonds in their main skeleton. For example, clear? So for example, what will be the examples of organic polymer? For example, polyvinyl chloride, polyvinyl chloride. Clear? As you know that vinyl, this is a vinyl monomer. Clear? If this repeat in chain, it form polyvinyl chloride. And other polyethylene. As you know, this is the molecular or the formula of this is the formula of ethylene. Clear? And also acrylonitrile, Clear? So if these monomer are repeated in chain and form long chain, clear? So such polymer will be organic in nature. So there are many examples of organic polymer, just like you know polyester, clear? Nylon, clear? Bakelite, clear? Cellulose, DNA, RNA, nucleic acids. Clear? So these all are the examples of organic polymer. Clear? So there are millions of types of organic polymers, but by the definition, organic polymers are those polymers which have carbon chain, which have carbon skeleton. Clear? So now we are going to discuss inorganic polymer. Clear? So we know that actually organic compounds are those which have carbon in their skeleton, which have carbon as a backbone. Clear? So you know, for example, the organic polymer, for example, if you take silicon, clear? So we use silicon instead of carbon, or phosphorus instead of what? Instead of carbon. So inorganic, the backbone is made up of carbon, while in inorganic polymer this backbone is made, or sorry, this main skeleton, actually the word backbone to which I am using is for that the main skeleton actually. Clear? So for example, this is a polymer chain, this is a long chain of polymer. So if there is a carbon here is carbon, clear? So it means this is organic in nature. As you see that this is, for example, CH2, 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 CH2. As you are seeing here, the carbon atom is repeated. Clear? Okay. So if here, if we see, if I use here another atom instead of a carbon, that is oxygen or phosphorus or maybe silicon. Clear? So if such compounds are used, or we can say that if there is other atoms in their main skeleton, if the polymer have other atoms instead of a carbon in their main skeleton, so such polymer will be known as inorganic polymer. So actually we discuss what silicon. So you know that silicon belong to group 4 and it is situated below the carbon atom. So carbon can form single bond with their same carbon atoms, but silicon is unstable in their long chain form. Clear? So silicon can also exist as, and carbon also exists as. This is methane while this is silane. What? Silane. Clear? So silicon in a silane form is unknown, or the polymer of silicon in silane. So this is silane form, silicon single bond form. In a silane form are unknown because they are unstable in long chain form. I want to repeat, the silicon can form SiH4 and carbon also form, but this carbon atom can form long chain carbon bonding, as you can see in graphite, in buckyballs. Clear? While silicon is unstable in their long chains form in silicon bonding. Clear? It means silicon is unstable in long chain polymer form. Clear? So it means the polymers of silicon is unknown in the silane form. Clear? So in what form silicon exists in polymer form? So you should know two types of words are used for silicon. That is, number one, silicon, and second is silicone. Sometimes the interviewer can ask question that what is the main difference between silicon and silicones. Clear? So what is the main difference between silicon and silicones? So you should know silicon is actually an element. Clear? While silicone is actually polymer. What? Polymer. That is in liquid form and used as a water repellent. Clear? Word for the waterproof layers, used in the waterproof layers. So this is silicon is actually element, while silicone is actually, it has plastic nature, just like plasticity, it has the nature of plasticity. And in such type of polymer, what are used? Such type of polymers are also known as polysiloxane. Polysiloxane. So what? If silicon, we know that silicon doesn't form such type of long chain polymer. So what will happen? So silicon will form a polymer in what form? Silicon will form a polymer is in that form. For example, silicon Si, clear, O, O and O and so, clear. So silicon actually, or in some books it can be written as, clear, in some books it can be written as silicon as or Si, clear. Some book have written it as, clear. Okay, so the silicon can exist, so maybe this is the correct one, clear, if we write it as, clear. So I want to repeat, the silicon doesn't exist in a polymer form as. So in what form silicon form a polymer? So silicon form a polymer by such manner, clear, or as we can write it as also, clear. So silicon form poly monomeric chain by this way, clear. And such type of compounds, such type of, for example, in silicones, this is silicone, silicone is actually polymer, and such type of polymer are known as siloxane. What? Siloxanes. So such type of polymer where such type of units are repeated are known as siloxane. What? Silicones is a polymer which have the backbone of such type of formula, clear, which have such type of backbone. So polymer having such type of backbone, such type of skeleton are known as siloxanes. What? Siloxane. So silicone is actually siloxane, clear. So I want to repeat, silicon doesn't form silane polymer. Silicon doesn't form silane polymer, single bond, clear. If silicon forms single bond with other silicon, so silicon form siloxane polymer. So silicon form siloxane polymer, clear. So an example of siloxane polymer is silicone, where what we will find, where this type of skeleton is repeated in their skeleton. So silicone is actually used in those area, in those working places, or in those shops where the mechanic work to stop the water flow, or it is used in just like in the proof floors. For what purposes? As a water repellent, or it is used as a in waterproof layers, clear. Okay, so the another example of inorganic polymer is polyphosphoazine. What? Another example of inorganic polymer is polyphosphoazine. So another example of polymer is polyphosphoazine. As the name indicate, phosphor, such type of polymer having phosphorus, and also azine, and also they have nitrogen also, clear. So this was about the inorganic polymer. So as I have said that some polymer have carbon chain in their structure, in their skeleton, but they will be also considered as inorganic. For example, silicon, if I write one unit for silicon, that is SiRO and CH3 and CH3. Clear? So silicon form different types of polymer. So in silicon form, this unit may be repeated as, clear? For example, actually this unit is in what form? This unit is in this form. For example, carbon, silicon, OH, R and R. Silicon, it is actually silicon in this form. When these units combine, when n units combine, they form a long chain. In which such type of units repeated. Clear? When these monomers, when these compounds, when these subunits combine to each other, they form a long chain in which such type of backbone, such type of monomer, such type of this general formula is repeated. Clear? So this is actually what? Siloxane. It means in siloxane polymer, as the name indicate, silo and oxane. Such siloxane, the polymer having silicon and also oxygen. Siloxane. Clear? Siloxane means polymer having silicon and oxygen also. So if you see here, silicon is also present, and also silicon oxygen are present at a time. So if I write it in a form of polymer, so what will be its formula? So now I want to write siloxane in a long chain form. For example, this is a monomer, that is OH. For example, this is CH3 and this is CH3. Clear? If this is our monomer. Clear? So now I want to form their structure. Clear? Have you? Okay. So what will be their structure in a polymer form? So I want to form their polymeric chain. So from this side there will be oxygen, there will be silicon, there will be CH3, there will be CH3, there will be oxygen, and so repeat, there will be silicon, CH3, also there will be silicon, there will be CH3, and there will be CH3. Clear? Again there will be silicon, there will be oxygen, and so on. Clear? So this is the polymeric chain of what? Of siloxane. So siloxane, I want to repeat, siloxane is actually polymer. Siloxane is actually polymer, is actually what? So actually polymer. Clear? Where silicon plus oxygen exists in their what? In their main skeleton. Clear? Siloxanes. So there are so many types of siloxane. There are so many types of siloxanes. Clear? So the general formula for siloxane is that OSI, here I write alkyl group, and OSI R, and here R, and here oxygen, and Si R R. Here the R is not a specific. Clear? Here I have written methyl group, but it may be ethyl and so on. Clear? So I have discussed also, this is the example of what? This is the general formula for siloxane. This is the general formula for what? For siloxane. So siloxane are those polymer in which silicon and oxygen are used in their main skeleton. Clear? So for example, the one example of siloxane was silicones. One example of siloxane was silicone, where such type of backbone is repeated. Clear? Another example is polyphosphazine. Polyphosphazine, very important. So another thing to which should be understood, that is organic polymer. Organic polymer are biodegradable. Organic polymer are biodegradable. Organic polymer are biodegradable. Clear? Biodegradable means it can be attacked by what? By fungi or by bacteria, or it can be decomposed in nature. Clear? So biopolymer can be decomposed in nature. Clear? So means the scavenger. For example, this is a piece of what? For example, this is a piece of polyvinyl chloride. This is a piece of polyvinyl chloride, and if it is found in garbage, for example, so decomposers clear, a scavenger can decompose it. Clear? It is just like what? Polyvinyl chloride. So nowadays industries, they add some chemical to protect this such type of polymer from invaders. So scavenger can actually take on organic polymer and can clean our environment. Okay, so we are going to another example of inorganic polymer, that is polyphosphazine. So the general formula of polyphosphazine can be written as, clear, here is nitrogen, clear, polyphosphazine. This is a general formula or general main skeleton, clear, for polyphosphazine. So in polyphosphazine, such type of formula repeated in their main skeleton. Clear? So it was about classification of polymer on the basis of what? On the basis of chemical nature. So they may be organic and they may be inorganic. So organic polymer are those where the main backbone is formed of carbon. Clear? So organic polymer are friendly. Organic polymer are friendly with environment, means they are biodegradable. As you can see, cellulose, starch, DNA, RNA, and also what, there are so many polymers and protein also which are biodegradable. Biodegradable means fungi or decomposer can attack or bacteria can attack on it, and they can clean our environment. Clear? So another form of polymer are inorganic polymer. So inorganic polymer are those which have those polymer which have the composition of their main skeleton formed of phosphorus, silicon, oxygen, except carbon. Clear? Except carbon. So inorganic polymer are those whose main skeleton is composed of elements other than carbon. It may be oxygen, phosphorus, or silicon. So for silicon, we have studied siloxane polymer. Siloxane polymer are those which is formed of silicon and oxygen in their main skeleton. So one example of siloxane was silicon. Clear? Another form of polymer are silophosphoizine. Here, if the word indicates such polymer where phosphorus and nitrogen works as a constituent elements in the backbone or in the main skeleton of such polymer. Means in polyphosphoizine polymer, such units are repeated. So inshallah we will meet in the next lecture with a new interesting video.